sub flappers, so you probably clicked on this video half-heartedly with half-baked interests. Or you may be in a pickle wondering who you should be going for in terms of practicality. The reality is, if you are watching this, there is a high chance you aren't subscribed, so why don't we fix that real quick. Also, I will be running a giveaway as we approach Xiao's banner, and being a subscriber is a must to win, so yeah. And don't worry, I won't be milking this video and will only touch on the important points. We will be revisiting this topic again after Xiao's release. And I know there are big expectations for Xiao, and putting him up against Keqing means there has to be something about Keqing that stacks up to Xiao, right? And that's correct. Xiao in many ways is very similar to Keqing, so actually let us start there. If we break this down based on what we've seen in the closed betas, Xiao is a close combat Anemo spear user who has fast and powerful strikes compared to Keqing, who is a close combat electro sword user to also have fast and powerful strikes. The two, when compared, has similar combat styles. Through their elemental skills, they navigate the battlefield and elevate combat mechanics. I have played Keqing since the game has launched, and even though I own every character except Diluc, I still to this day prefer to play Keqing over many of the other main carries, and I think Xiao in many ways will function similar to Keqing, yet different in others. Starting with combat styles, Keqing has several combos, but of course the most famous and commonly seen is just the charge attack spam. Compared to Xiao, you may see that his most well-known attack is the burst skill plunge. Both characters are not complicated to play per se, and for Keqing, she has been extremely mobile friendly. When deciding which character you want to pick up, it's important to gauge how the character can fit into your team. Listen, it's all cool and dandy if you want to create teams with no synergy and rely on raw output to carry you, but Xiao and Keqing each pair with other characters better to elevate them. Starting with Keqing, she has huge glaring weaknesses, and some of which are not to the fault of her character but her element. Electro is currently in an awkward spot where Overload is the offensive choice, yet it lacks the offensive punch that Melt and Vaporize has. Superconduct is a debuff that only benefits physical attack users. Electrocharged, well, it's electrocharged. So if you are seriously considering picking up Keqing, here are some of the units that pair well with her. First and foremost, Venti. Without saying, when you use Overload, one of the side effects is that it sends smaller mobs flying all over the place, and having Venti will greatly help in maximizing your damage window without scattering enemies. DIONA and Chi are amazing choices to pair with Keqing when you are building a physical build on her. And with these two, you can have 100% superconduct uptime, which is amazing. XIANGLING or XINYAN is a great support DPS for Keqing if you are looking to build around Overload. Ultimately, I have chosen to run a double DPS team with a Geo for protection, so I have Keqing, Ganyu, Chi and ZHONGLI. It's an effective team built around physical Keqing and Ganyu. It's not the best and definitely isn't free-to-play friendly, so I really wouldn't recommend it. If you're going to get Keqing, likely you'd want to run a physical team with a Crow unit or an Electro team with Venti. If you have neither, maybe you can consider Xiao. For Xiao, he rocks Anemo for the element, and that in of itself can be tricky. I see Anemo fundamentally as a supportive element. It's a passive and reactive element that is best used when other elements are present. That being said, Xiao is actually an anomaly amongst current Anemo characters. With powerful plunge attacks and scaling based off of footage from the CBT2, it can be said that Xiao does not need swirl reactions to be powerful. His raw damage output already exceeds that of most DPS carries with reactions. Combined with his short attack animations, Xiao currently is building up to be a greedy solo DPS. Judging by Xiao's kit, certain characters that would be good to pair with him would be someone like Chi, whose elemental skill can provide consistent healing, and also maybe some Geo characters to provide shields for him. Since you are already constantly taking damage from your own burst skill, you'd ideally want to reduce all unnecessary damage. So for people who have Zhongli or Albedo, I can see Xiao pairing extremely well with them, contrary to the lack of reaction between Geo and Anemo. The reason this works is because, as mentioned earlier, Xiao has proven to be an anomaly amongst other Anemo characters, whereas he doesn't rely on Swirl to deal damage, so having him paired with Geo characters, you won't be really missing out. Finally, for people who are on the fence about these two characters and need help in deciding who to pick up, I say this: Keqing is definitely not the best carry in the game. In fact, with how difficult it is to get constellations for her, certain 4-star characters at C6 can outperform her if we're talking about raw damage numbers. But she brings a satisfaction like no other when you pull off a slick maneuver. Xiao seems to hold massive potential when it comes to damage output and carry potential. However, how much of this will remain in his kit on release date? Also, do note, for constellations, how reliant will Xiao be to function as we'd hope? With the ZHONGLI case, miHoYo has nailed both Albedo and Ganyu's character release, both in promotion and in character balance. Knowing Xiao being a well-anticipated unit, I believe miHoYo will take caution in keeping him desirable both in Kokoro and power. When it comes to raw performance, I cannot deny it, Xiao seems to be one step above Keqing in that not only does he have the maneuverability of Keqing, but also more damage behind the hits. Even though Xiao's Anemo element lacks reactions due to how he will be played, it is more than compensated by his raw potential. With this, I conclude this video, and remember to subscribe for the giveaway. Also, I will be doing further tests and comparisons once I get Xiao, so do be on the lookout for that. We will revisit this once I have both characters equalized, and by then I will have a more definitive answer for you all. So until we meet again, stay safe and peace.